नमस्कार इतिंग आलाप को बहुत बहुत स्वागत आपण मानक मनीष बुलवा भल पाए गोटे समय थिला मनीष जिते बड़े जोठी बुली जाऊला सेठी रही जाऊला किंतु धीरे धीरे परिवर्तन बहुत बेसी है गमनागमन सुविधा सुजोग बहुत हो गला मनीष बुलिकी पुणी थे घर को फेरी आसला किंतु आज मु जड़े एभली व्यक्तित्व सामने बसची सी बुलवा को आसी बा आउ किछि भल काम करने आसी बा किछि देखिबा आसी सी किंतु आउ थरे तांको जन्ममाटी को फेरिले नहीं ओडिशा तांको बहुत भल लगिला सी रहीगले ओडिशा रे से ओडिशा रे केमिति रहिले ओडिशा को काहेकि आसिले खाली रे भी रही नांती बहुत ना कमेचंती मु आउ किछि कहिबि नहीं तांको विषय रे सब कथा आमे सुनिबा तांको मुहरु वर्तमान मु आपण मानक तरफरु मो तरफरु कलिंग टीवी तरफरु मु स्वागत करी पद्मश्री नृत्य गुरु इलियाना सितारी
नमस्कार
बहुत खुशी लगुच आज मु आपण सामने बसी आपण जीवन यात्रा विषय किसी जानापी जमती मु कहली समस्त जानी आपण इटाली आसी ओडिशा रे रही जाइछंती तेबे मु आमे टिके पछुको फेरिबा खाली आपण जीवन यात्रा विषय केमती पिला दिन आपणकर कटिला केमती आपणकर पारिवारिक जीवन इटाली रे थिला काहे की भाबिले आपण पूरा पळे आसबे बोली एपटको
पिला दिने माने कोन नाच सेते कोते मोर गोटे पैशन थिला जो पिला दिनरो but that was
आपन family political family thila
political yes that's why I don't want to enter into politics
बापा थिले politics
बापा politician but he was also an artist kintu mane because of the politic career that artistic trait mane he couldn't follow particular मोर डांस बहुत भल लगी क्लासिकल बैले माने से 3 वर्ष पाई मते पते आई वाज 8 9 10 years old तापर जते बेले स्कूल टिके टिके बेसी एंगेज एची एती माने केमती आउची ओडिसा रे जते पिला आछंती तापर जते बेले बोर्ड एग्जाम अछि ना नो स्टैंडर्ड
डांस
स्टार्ट so सेतिकी more or less so बाबा माने never thought that माने सेतिकी क्वालिटी थिला से तो जाना पड़ितला काहे ना हम टीचर सब बेले मते डाकितले जते बेले गोटे विजिटर थिला बाहर आस्तिबे मते सब बेले डाकिबे डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करिबा पाई
अच्छा
आज पर्यंत मने अछि although I was small and I was good in keeping the time the tala we don't call it tala rhythm but somehow I had a role as a drummer drama in a storyline production so they gave me that and I had to keep the rhythm and the piano player because classical ballet is always accompanied by a piano so she was telling me oh you are good in keeping the rhythm with the feet से आज माने मने पड़िला जे maybe that time it was some destiny was there with the tala and so anyway but in spite of that बापा माँ जते बेले स्कूल रे टिके बेसी पड़िला ते माने they stopped so that time I was very obedient up to when I became 14 years old I started to rebel but 15 years but up to that time I was my father was very dominant type so quite strict so I was always up to that time I was quite scared of him
एटा तबे भी माने को मसियार कथा कहउचंती
it was 60s in the 60s 1960s
इटाली रे भी थिला रेस्ट्रिक्शन झियो को प्रति
because it was very much like for girls they going around and all these things was quite restricted in my family some other family may be a little bit more but in my family yes I had to also with my first boyfriend and all these things I had always to hide and to to tell lies and to go on the small lane, not to be seen, and all this the kind of things. And
ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ ଝିଅ ଥିଲେ?
ନା ତାପରେ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଭାଇ ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ସାନ ଭଉଣୀ. But there were 4 or 5 years different in between with the brother, and another 4 years, so 8 years between me and the younger sister. So they found the things a little more easy because ମୋର ତ
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ପରେ
ସବୁ ତ ଭାଙ୍ଗି ଦେଇଛି. In spite of that, I did whatever I wanted, but always struggling and taking risk.
ମା ଥିଲେ କ'ଣ ହାଉସ୍ ମେକର?
Ma was no headmistress.
ଆଚ୍ଛା.
She was also working. So most of the childhood I spent ମାନେ ସେ ଯୋଉ maid servants. Because she was going in the morning to evening ଫେରି ଆସିବେ. ଆଉ ବାପା ତ ସକାଳେ lecturer, afternoon publisher. He had a publishing book house, and night evening politician.
Oh,
so he was totally engaged. But mother also was working, so most of the time we were under the care of some of the other maid servants.
ତାପରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଏଜ୍ ବଢ଼ିଲା ପରେ
ମାନେ so that time I had to obey when they stopped me to send to the ballet. And ତାପରେ ତ ବହୁତ ଲମ୍ବା ରାସ୍ତା ହେଲା ପୁଣି ଦାସ ଫେରି ଆସିବା ପାଇଁ. So first all the rebellion and the student movements and the feminist movement, I went through all this on the 70s, 80s. That was a time ଯେତେବେଳେ ସବୁ ୟୁରୋପରେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଲା. ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସରେ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇକରି ଏ ସବୁ ତ ଜାଗାରେ spread out. And so I was in all, my father was in a party, I was in the opposite party.
Oh, acha.
I was in the Communist Party. Then I started with theatre. ମାନେ in my town.
Dance ଟା ଥିଲା? ଆପଣ ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ଯାହା ବି କରୁଥିଲେ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଥିଲା ଆପଣ?
ନା ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ପୁରା ବନ୍ଦ ହେଲା.
ପୁରା ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଲେ?
ସେତେବେଳେ ସେ ମୋତେ ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଲେ. ଆଉ କ୍ଲାସିକାଲ ballet it's not possible to, if you have a gap of କେତେ ବର୍ଷ, if you start from ମାନେ when you are smaller, then you have to continue. That was the time in the 70s, 80s when all these things, the young people, they were finding their own direction, and they were not accepting what the parents and the older generation was imposing. So ତାପରେ ମୋ ଟାଉନରେ ଗୋଟେ theatre ଥିଲା, Teatro Tascabile it's called. Tascabile means pocket. It was a small theatre, and Bergamo is my own hometown, so Teatro Tascabile di Bergamo. So they were searching for some artists. So I enrolled myself, and they needed sange mane gote female iye to mate sange stage re pokejandi. I didn't have a proper training also. So but on your jo senior artists were there, so they were taking care of me. And seta ta Arambala theatre, that was a traditional theatre. A lot of acting, not too much physical theatre, acting.
बहुत बढ़िया थिएटर सेट हुए हमें देख बहुत भल लगे.
Commedia dell'arte, it is a famous traditional theater from Italy where a dialect is used and a lot of characters are there, so with a mask and all these things, so they have a certain way of moving, and so seta ଟିକେ କରିግରି ତାପରେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ theatre movement ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା from Poland, from Jerzy Grotowski, and that group was coming to all over Europe, and tankori actor were holding workshops. So I was joining that workshops. Tapore ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ bread and puppet theatre came. So there was a lot of movement. So theatre ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ hall ଭିତରେ ନ ହେଇକିରି ରାସ୍ତା ଭିତରେ ଯିବାକୁ କି ସ୍କୁଲ ଭିତରେ ଯିବାକୁ social messages. So it was moving out. So new techniques were required, like walking on stilts. On the street theatre, you have to have big mask. No, stilts upare so all this technique had to be learned. So I was going to learn all these things. And
with your interest,
more interest, yeah. So on the side, I was also doing my studies. I completed my college, and then I went to philosophy. I did my university. I chose philosophy, and that in Venice. So when I shifted to Venice, theatre, I left the theatre, but in Venice, a sabu workshop tila these were all visiting artists from Europe, from America, so they were having 2 months workshop, 3 months workshop. So I was attending those. Gote dine I saw one demonstration of Kathakali. So जो मैंने already India रे आसीतली 1974
ଶିଖିକି ଯାଇଥିଲେ
ना 74 I came by, there was no connection with dance. 74 I came by road, just
came by road
1 month I took, and
with a group group
na alone. That those were the year in which we were inspired by writers like Hermann Hesse, Jack Kerouac, on the road. That India was like a pilgrimage, like it was like to put yourself on trials, on outside your comfort zone. India was a target for many young people of that time. So because of the different, now India and they're not, it's not so different anymore, but that time it was more like a spiritual target.
70s रे कथा कहउछन्ती
70s एटा 74 असली. Then second time जेतेबेले आसिली 78, that time it was straight
74 रे प्रथमे आसिले alone by road
for 6 months, yeah, by road by Orient Express. Then I joined Gote private, two boys were there. They were searching for passengers from Istanbul to Kabul, from Turkey, Iran, Iraq and Afghanistan. And tapare in Kabul from Kabul to Peshawar by bus, normal bus. You go down. Kabul is high and Peshawar is down. And then train from Peshawar to Amritsar. So it took 1 month.
बापा माँ छाड़िले ना एमती
At that point there was nothing. माने से कौन कोई तार से चक्कर दितले ठीक है.
प्रथमे कोठी पहुंचले
आसिग्री असली अमृतसर. Then I went to Meklodoganji, कोठी दलाई लामा होतिले. तापरे असली तोले Khajuraho, Agra, then Benares and Nepal. So then from Nepal I came down. I went to Badami, Ayole, then Goa. After that I came back, and in 78 I saw one Kathakali performance. We were searching for some physical expression through the body, not only through the recitation. So in India there was such a detailed grammar of the body, which I was not aware. So immediately when I set the program, this is called Dekile Pore, I asked, he was Guru Krishna Nambudiri from Sri Krishna Puran, Kerala. So mutakko setora bare body pura demonstrate kortele. So it was very evident, all the muscle of the face. So takko pacharteli na se kotela April mase gote 3 mase workshop koribi 78. So 1st of April I straight by flight. So I went there through Sri Krishna Puran, stayed for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, Kathakali. So after that, it was a cathartic experience. And I ताको मो पचारतेली गुरु को पचारतेली को ये कोना वो केंटिया फेरी जिब्बी सेंटिया केंटिया I feel that I just started to discover something and I cannot. So सिमते कहतले ओडिसी कथा.
अच्छा सीए कहतले
काहेंगी ओडिसी कहले. At that point he could have told me anything. I mean जदि मते भरतनाट्यम कहतांते कि कुचिपुड़ी कहतांते कि मणिपुरी कहतांते. But I knew, after many years I came to know that he was very much fascinated by Odissi. And so I think he met Sanjukta Panigrai in Europe in his traveling. So, but in any case, he gave me Sanjunani's reference. So that time I was, setebele mo asteli boyfriend sangreti not alone. He was a musician. So ame dijone eti from Kerala we crossed and we came to Odisha. ମୁଁ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କିଛି ଜାଣିନଥିଲି. ସେ ସେତେବେଳେ ସେ ମୋତେ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ କଥା କହିଲେ. I knew about Konark because in my exams I knew about some temple. କିନ୍ତୁ କୋଉଠି exactly ଥିଲା ମାନେ ଆମେ map ଦେଖିକିରି ଆମେ ଜାଣିଗଲୁ ତ we have to cross the India like this to go there. So ସେଇଠିକି ଯାଇକିରି ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ପାଖକୁ ଯାଇକିରି ବେଶୀ ରହିଲେନି, କେବଳ ମାସେ 2 ମାସ.
ଆପଣ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କୋଉଠି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ?
ମାନେ directly ଆମେ ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ପାଖକୁ ଯାଇକିରି without and I was totally Western type
Ha.
and EP type, because in Kerala ma kichi mane strictness nahi that in that Kathakali workshop se uniform ki kona ki rule ki kona kichi nahi, it was quite free. So as far as attire,
Odisha.
but she also Sanjunani also was very relaxed on the and she mane ଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ରୋଜ ସେ ପାଖ ଗୋଟେ ରୁମ୍ରେ ସେ ଆମ ପାଇଁ ମାନେ ଖୋଜିଥିଲେ ରହିବା ପାଇଁ, but we were still fascinated by Kerala. So this first approach with Odissi was okay, but not so, because Kerala was too much strong. So ତାପରେ ଗୋଟେ ଜଣେ ଗୋଟେ ଦିନେ ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ୍ କରିଥିଲେ, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଆସିଥିଲା ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ୍ କରିବାକୁ, ସେ ମୋତେ କହିଲା ତାଙ୍କରି ଗୁରୁ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ମାନେ ସଞ୍ଜୁନାନୀ ଗୁରୁ ଅଛନ୍ତି କଟକରେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ପିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ପେପର୍ ସେ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ଏତେ ଲମ୍ବା ନାମ I couldn't even pronounce it, କେଲୁଚରଣ ମହାପାତ୍ର, ସେତେବେଳେ ମୋତେ ଲାଗିଥିଲା ପୁରା, ଆଉ ସେ ମୋତେ କହିଥିଲି ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି, ରଖିଥିଲି ବ୍ୟାଗ୍ରେ ରଖିଥିଲି, ଆଉ ଆମେ ପୁଣି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ମାସେ ଗଲୁ କେରଳ ଜଷ୍ଟ ବୁଲିବା ପାଇଁ, ଆଉ ଫେରି ଗଲୁ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା,
ମାନେ I didn't meet Guruji that time.
ଆଚ୍ଛା, again return back quickly.
Yeah, because ଏ ମାନେ ଆପଣ ତ 6 ମାସେ ଭିସା ପାଇବେ ନା, 3 ମାସରେ ଏଠି କେରଳ ଯାଇଥିଲା, ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ମାସ 1.5 ମାସେ କି କ'ଣ 2 ମାସେ, ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଆମେ ଆଉ କେରଳ ଆମେ ବୁଲିଗଲୁ, ତାପରେ ଫେରିଗଲୁ। ମୋର ତ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ଥିଲା ଯୋଉ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଏଠି ଶିଖିବି, ମୋ ଥିଏଟର ଏକ୍ସପେରିମେଣ୍ଟ, theater will, so that was the original way. ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ କରିଥିଲି, ମୁଁ ବୁଝିଲି ଯେ if I want to actually learn and utilize this movement, I have to learn a little more. ସେଥିପାଇଁ decide କରିଥିଲି. In the meantime, I split with my boyfriend also. June 79 ମୁଁ ଭାବିଥିଲି ଗୋଟେ ବର୍ଷ ଯିବି ପୁଣି, 1 year. That was the
ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଶିଖିବା ପାଇଁ
Odissi 6 ମାସେ, Kathakali 6 ମାସେ.
ଆଚ୍ଛା,
So that was the plan. But since Kathakali ମୋତେ Krishna Budiri କହିଥିଲେ we are going to Europe in June, July, so don't come first here, you go first to Odisha and then you come here. So ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆସିଲି, ଏଟାର ସେ ଯୋଉ piece of paper ଥିଲା ଗୁରୁଜୀଙ୍କୁ ନାମ
ସେଟା ରଖିଥିଲେ?
ସେଟା ରଖିଥିଲି, ସେଟା ପୁରା directly as usual, without any formality and without ସେଠିକି ଯାଇକିରି ଦିଲ୍ଲୀରେ, ତାପରେ ଟ୍ରେନରେ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର by bus, ବାଦାମବାଡ଼ି I asked one rickshaw bala କୋଉଠି what language, I don't know, because ମୋର ଇଂଲିଶ ଜାଣିନଥିଲି, ଓଡ଼ିଆ ତ no way. So ସେ rickshaw ବାଲା ପହଞ୍ଚିଦେଲା ସେଠି ଗୁରୁଜୀଙ୍କୁ ଘରେ।
ଆପଣ ଏକା ଆସିଲେ?
No, one girlfriend was there. She was also she had done Kerala workshop, and in Rome she had worked with me, so we are 2 people. ସେଟା କହିଛି ମୁଁ 6 ମାସେ ରହିବି, ତାପରେ 6 ମାସେ କେରଳ ଯିବି, ସେଇଟାକୁ କହିଛି। ସେ 6 ମାସେ ତ 6 ବର୍ଷ ହେଇଗଲା, ଆଉ ଇଟାଲୀ ଗଲିନି। For 6 years I never went back to Italy. I never, then everything disappeared. Kerala, theater, Italy, Kathakali, Odisha ରହିଲା। ତାପରେ after 6 years ମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଯାଇଛି ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ମାସେ, after 6 years, because Guruji had to throw me out of the class, ନହେଲେ ତ ଯାଇନଥାନ୍ତି।
6 ବର୍ଷ ଆପଣ ପୁରା ଗୋଟେ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଉଠେଇବା ପାଇଁ, ଯେମିତି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସର ସବୁ ବିଭାଗ?
My first program was 21st April 81. So after 2 years, 29 April, because it was World Dance Day, so that's why I remember. Guruji accompanied me in Kalavikas Kendra ଆମେ କରିଥିଲୁ।
କ'ଣ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଥିଲା?
ମାନେ
ପୁରା କଲେ ମାନେ
ଅଭିନୟ, ମାନେ ମାଣିକ୍ୟ ବୀଣା, ଆରବୀ ପଲ୍ଲବୀ, ଅଭିନୟ yahi madhava yahi kesava, and dasavatar, moksha, with a full orchestra. Guruji
କ'ଣ ପକାଉଛ?
Sudha Ramarao was there, one of my friends. She's South Indian, a very talented girl. We worked together to harmonize with my movement and her voice. She's a very beautiful singer. And then Sunakar Sao violin, then Vishnu Pradhan sitar. Those artists all that time were the best artists. So I still have the photo of that with the orchestra.
या भितर आपण प्रथम जेतले भी शिक्षा पे आसले लैंग्वेज बैरियर कोन आपण को केमती हला
Language though no, because I was a guest, a paying guest. So
कोडी पेइंग गेस्ट गुरुजी को घरे रहू
ना ना गुरुजी को करे नहीं केबे नहीं गुरुजी से संगे संगे राजी एची सिखाइबा पे किंतु my aspect was not so traditional, so immediately didn't give that impression of because they were very orthodox in a way in the house, so many limitations, the puja room
बहुत डेडिकेटेड थिले डांस प्रति
but I was always hosted माने केते hospitality पाइछि केती ओडिसा all over India. That is one great quality of Indian people, but in Odisha especially in Cuttack केते घरे मते समस्त को कोला करिग्री ता कोति कीरो पाइबी कोति एता पाइबी कोति माने everybody was very hospitable माने 11 वर्ष रहिली कटक. The first year I was as a guest in somebody's house and this and that. Then I settled down in a Silent Roy house.
आपनकर इनकम सोर्स कोन थिला मन केमते चलुथिले आपण
I got scholarship after 2 years I was there. From external affairs. It was an exchange yeah. But in the beginning I was with very whatever money I had for 1 year, it was not much at all, but also I was paying 100 rupees I think for food and lodging. So then I was mane sabobele guruji kohte jibe because guruji will be here in Cuttack, but also he will do the workshopping and CPA se samayo arambo kortele 80-81 arambo kortele mase in Padatik in Calcutta, mase in CPA Bombay, mase in Gandharva Mahavidyalaya Delhi re, and mo sabobele pachute
आपण सबले जात
mu kohti chari bini se mane in Cuttack all the girls were coming from Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. Tapore in Bombay mostly Bombay people, Calcutta mostly Calcutta people, but I would be there. I would follow it. And everywhere I was finding some place where to stay guest.
आउ सब विभाग ओडिसी रा आपण कर दे परबे बट अभिनय पय त भाषाटा जानिया पय
दरकार सेटा त मु कहतली के जे कोति मु रहितली कि माने गोटे इंग्लिश के जानि नथिले आ मो तो इंग्लिश बहुत पुअतिली एंड इंग्लिश की जानि नथिले सो स्पेशली गुरुजी एंड छाओ गुरु छाओ तो संगे संगे मासे 2 मासे पर आरंभ करछि
मासे 2 मास पर छो आरंभ कर देले.
Yes, during the time in August why माने दिल्ली रे थिली I just walk into Bharatiya Kala Kendra. So I just walk into a room and I saw a beautiful dance style. One girl was doing it. She was doing movement of birds with a full body, and one old man was with a big drum was sitting. So I was totally mesmerized. And then I asked to the guru, "Ye kya ho gaya?" And this one is Chau dance, and from where? From Odisha. I say, "Ore bapre, Odisha puni autare feri bararchi." So then when I came back after 1 month, I came back. Guruji workshop was over. So mate, that was Krishna Chandra Naik, that guru, and he had given me the reference to Sri Hari Naik.
Acha.
And Sri Hari Naik was teaching
आपनकर
in.
छौरो गुरु से.
So when I came, it was already September. Tamane Utka Sangeet Mahavidyalaya already started la academic year. So I just learned privately. Tapore in July, when the new admission was there, I directly entered into the 3rd year.
छौ सिक्किया में आरंभ कर देला.
3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th 4 years. So I was going up and down from Cuttack to Bhubaneswar by bus. Morning छौ सिखितली, तापरे फेरी आसिला बेले
ओडिसी करथिले.
ओडिसी आफ्टरनून करतली. तापरे जेतेबेले गुरुजी जिबे कहती मु छौ चारिग्री सेति कि जिबी किंतु छौ मु 4 वर्ष को
माने डीटा जक डांस एकाथरे सिखतले आपन किछि कष्ट लागले
ना मते कष्ट लागिलानी के गुरुजी वाज वेरी strict that the Chau movement should not come into the Odissi and all these things.
Did आसी जीवो
but I was also very
छोरा पूरा गोटे अलगा ओडिसी पूरा ओडिसी त लास्य.
But they are quite complementary, and for me it was necessary both. I mean, one is, and also they are reaching each other, like, because my Chau is more refined, maybe elegant and graceful because of the Odissi training, and the Odissi got more stamina and more balance
हाँ ये तो
by the
स्टैमिना
chow.
एंड बैलेंस टा आसी जीवा
For the chow.
बट से लास्य भावटा तो छौ जदी प्रभाव
No, but I, totally, it was, for me, it was very interesting to do the chow. I always found it is complementary between the Odyssean chow. And I kept them separately. I
आपण
never used,
माने कोन एमती गोटे बाटा आपण आपणले जोथरे कि दीटा रे आपण सामान्य रक्षा कर पले छौ एंड ओडिसी दीटा जाक जहा भी हेले अलग
माने energy, I had the masculine
हाउ यू
energy, which
बैलेंस इट बोथ
way of expression had to be through both of them. The feminine part of me, it has been discovered through the Odyssey.
यस
And the other aspect, that more strong, it was fulfilled by the chow.
Chow.
Every time I was coming from Cuttack, and then I was discovering the sedine to chuti. Actual training during the holiday, when Srihari sir was going back to Baripada, I would go there for 15
Acha.
days. And there it was where I learned the Shiva Tandava, where I learned Dandi, where I learned the real
आपण खाली डांस शिखिले ना डांस ऊपर पढिले
dance. Yeah, a lot,
because you have written books
a
also
lot of research also, because especially in the
केमती
Odisha.
पढिले हमर सब ओडिया रे थिले ना आपन को इंग्लिश रे मिलला
No, most of my books were in English, and also whatever, but jetiki ame item korchu in Odia or Sanskrit, seta maro pandit paku jaigri, because you have to know the exact meaning, very detailed. So Guruji to kete explain karibe, ता छोरा आउ टिके माने माने
आपण को निजे भी प्रैक्टिस करियो पड़ियो से सब
निजे practice. Tapore I was interested in like Git Govinda. I was very fascinated by Git Govinda. That time I was reading a lot. Ebe apur mane jo COVID ela di borso ame gore bitere tillu. So after 40 years I went to take out all those books which I was reading in the beginning, in the first 5 or so in the beginning, and I noticed that they were all underlined because all of them were been read by me very in detail. And I wrote the last book, Odyssean Gita Govinda, during the 2 years of COVID.
आपण तीनटा लेक्चर टोटल ना ओडिसी ऊपर
Odyssean ऊपर first is the making of a guru,
हां
Kelucharan Mahapatra's story. Then second, nice, my autobiography.
Oh, acha, that I don't know.
Actually, all these things you are asking, it is all details there, and now it is being translated into Odia.
आपण आपणकर बायोग्राफी लिखी सारी लेनी आली
Yeah, it is called My Journey, A Tale of Two Births. Dita Janma
कहानी दीटा जन्म तो निश्चित भाବରେ आपण 6 वर्ष परे आउ थरे इटली गले
Italy goli gote mase pai for programs. Then from that time, prote borso, I'll try with my mother help, because they also, my mother invented herself as a impresario to be able to see her daughter. So we are able to do good programs in Italy, in prestigious festivals.
आपण सुविधा हला आपण बापा सेट पॉलिटिक्स रे थिले बेले ना
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yes, and but in many cultural, total cultural festival, that was not too much helpful. But in some other places where it was possible to have an introduction through that, yes. And my parents also collaborate. I mean, we in the beginning it was a rebellion and all these things, but then slowly they appreciated. So it was coming together also through this, and they accepted, and they
आपण केबे स्थिर कले जे पूरा रही जेबे आउ जेबे नहीं
मु तो केबे एक्चुअली एते डिसाइड मु जाना नाही, जस्ट हैपेन ऑन इट्स
6 मास ओडिसी 6 मास कथा कली बे
तापर सेता सब चली गला 6 वर्ष रहला विदाउट गोइंग बैक, and it came on its own. In the meantime जो 6 वर्ष my brother got married, my sister got married, got a boy, my bhai got a so many things happened, but just telegram from Cuttack. That time there was not even STD. STD to aste asichi. First years STD was not there with Italy. It was via collecting call, and yeah. Tapore jaichi 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ I was happy that actually I again reconnect, because I could share and ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ନାଚିବି କି explain କରିବି, I can explain in their own language and also choose what is more proper, because it's my own place, na? So I can feel the reaction of the people. So, but the Boda action item, that is always, it was like Ramayana. There was one, the Sitaharana episode. Yes. My mother was in love with that. She would have seen that 100 times. And every time when I was performing it, she will explain the story to the neighbor, to the person sitting there.
What you are doing?
Yeah, Ravana, now Jatayu. So she was, but...
ଆପଣ 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ, ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଥରେ ଆସିଲେ, ମାନେ କେମିତି ବାପା ମାଙ୍କୁ ମନେଇଲେ ବା ନିଜେ କେମିତି ଡିସିସନ ନେଲେ ଯେ ମୁଁ ଏଇଠି ହିଁ ପୁରା ରହିଯିବି?
No, by that time it was already understood. I mean,
already understood.
Yeah. Also, nobody had any doubt anymore after 6 years. 6 years is a lot gap. So, nahi. Tapare mane se mote dekhichenti mane how I was like this with the sari. I was dancing. I was.
आश्चर्य जेथि आपन देखि गिरी.
Nahi, but in between, during those 6 years, my parents came. After 2 years, because I was not going back, and semane Guruji ko sangre dekhaila. They liked each other like anything, very much. I don't know what they talked, because my parents didn't know English at all, and Guruji also. So, kintu mane tankori bhitare bahut bolo conversation heichi, and they liked it a lot, each other. And then, they met the Silent Roy. They met. They saw me totally changed and at peace with myself. So from that first visit, they understood that I have found what I was searching. So after that, that's why maybe my mother also was helping to find some program, because that was the only way to get me back. Yes. But up to that extent, never they thought that I would. Somehow it became evident that.
आपण तापरे माने केते केते दिन अंतर जानती घर को इटली.
एबे तो प्रत्येक वर्ष जाइतिबी.
प्रत्येक वर्ष एबे भी सेटा कंटिन्यू करचंती.
Yes, this 2 years of COVID I didn't go, but so in May I went after third year 19
सबले प्रोग्राम नहीं की जानती ना, एमती खाली रे.
I go also without program, छोटा program, माने some workshop, demonstration, but the tour with the troupe, that cannot be every year. That is require a lot of work. Yes. So now the last one, it was in 2017 when I went with the troupe. 20 was supposed to happen. We were invited by a good festival. Then the COVID came. My first choreography, jo Maya Darpana korichi, it was my first choreography in Odisha. Seta, I didn't have my own group. After that, I realized that if I want to choreograph, I need my own students. And I started my school in 97. When I came in 79, I had already chosen the topic, what I wanted to put in theatre. Already choice etela. It was the meat of Echo and Narcissus. So from the Greek meat. Narcissus, which he sees himself into the water and narcissistic and fall in love with the beautiful meat. And so to choreograph night, to make this into a play, I thought that so that didn't happen. I stay here and all this thing. But in 1985, when East-West Dance Encounter was there in Bombay, organized by Georg Leschner, but Max Muller-Baumann, he called me and he said, you have to choreograph something which is totally creative, totally yours, based on what you have learned from Indian dance. So Setebele already 5 years of Chao, it was with me, 79 to 85. So, and suddenly that Greek came up. And I say Greek meat. So it didn't happen the way I had planned, but the circle got so that became a landmark, because it is still considered like a classic of a creative work in Chao. So, and I performed it in the Tata Theatre in Bombay in the occasion of the East-West Dance Encounter. And the music was a computerized music done by Igor Vakevich. Actually, Leshner, the organizer, suggested me, there is this Igor Vakevich. He was from Switzerland or something. He was staying in Pondicherry. And I wanted echo. Echo should be a vibration done by the. So he was working already with this, his own equipment over there at that time. And so I went, I worked with them and with him, and this composition came up and what was presented. And it's still a landmark, because when somebody has to do a history of Chow or of experimental eco and narcissus will be there, will be mentioned. So in Chow already I started in 85. Tapore agote korichi the journey. Then I did another one, images of change on the yin and yang of Chow. So a duet. So I had already done experimental item in Chow, but Odisha came. It took more time. In Odisha, only 97 I started to have my first, and after that I started my school. And from there onward, once one student ile, tapore ebe to बहुत करछन
अपर्णा सेन को से तो केबे देखाला
when Aparna was searching for a choreographer which would be Odyssean Chow for her Uganda. Sunil Kotari gave my name. And the second things which I did, it was with MF Hussain. With MF Hussain, different story, because that was Meenakshi, A Tale of Three Cities, his second film. Gajagamini fast. I got the national award for Uganda. Okay, so when I went to Delhi to get the national award, I met Santosh, and he talked to me and he said, Moro, I am doing this Ashoka film, so I'll have to come to Odisha also, and most probably all these martial movements, all this, I'll need your help and all this. So I was always very thrilled about waiting for that. Then Ashoka became different. It was it went more in the commercial type of things. But Santosh kept in mind his promise, and he suggested my name to Hussain, to MF Hussain. And so then I did this choreography, beautiful Kavali in that Nuramala. Odisha, I'd use it in the Uganda, but in MF Hussain is Kathak dance and Chow, because it was more a Sufi.
experience MF Hussain ka saita kaam kariyara bahut sundar.
That was really some great experience, and also, I mean, what a difference between Uganda and this. This one is a big budget, and he could do whatever he wanted. So if the space was too big and we needed another 20 dancers from Delhi, the next day they could be flight. We were shooting in Hyderabad. Main jinx was Raymond music, and Raymond for me was, I was a big fan. Immediately when I heard the music, fell in love with the music already and the song, and I told immediately, I need this, I need Chow and Kathak for this, and he just gave me indication that, of course, it's a Sufi type, so there will be acrobatic and there will be whirling things, but that's all. And then I waited and waited, and then finally, I didn't have a proper recce of the place, but they didn't give me the music much in advance, because Raymond music cannot be. So in the Cinemagar, which in Hyderabad, the Hussain Cinemagar, I composed the entire things with the dancer which I had there. But Seitiki Puni Jetebele transfer in the courtyard of the Nizam Palace, it had totally have to be broken up, and Tabu was the heroine. And in the middle of the night, all in the night and under the rain, real rain. It was not a.
अच्छा आपनकर अनुभूति भी बहुत
सुंदर. After the first portion of my choreography, because he had known me, he didn't know me. So I remember the first portion which we did. At the end of it, he gave me one.
Oh, अच्छा.
Behind he said, very good. Very good. He was his way of appreciating. Maybe up to that moment he was still wondering, what is girl? The first choreography and the last stanza, it is mine.
एबे आर्ट विजन रे आपण छौ ओडिसी सब सिखौ जंते
नहीं छौ less. Chao less.
ବେଶୀ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଶିଖଉଛନ୍ତି
Odissi regular. All the choreography are in Odissi. And Chao, sometime I do some project with the Chao people, Baripada. So in that case, I go and work with them there. Eti to basi student Chao student nahi.
ଆପଣ ବହୁତ ବର୍ଷ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ରହିଲେଣି ଆପଣ ଆମ ଦେଶର ବହୁତ ଜାଗାକୁ ବି ଆପଣ ଯାଇକିରି ବୁଲି ସବୁ ଦେଖି ସାରିଥିବେ କେମିତି ମାନେ କମ୍ପାରିଜନ କରିବେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଜାଗା ଆଉ ଏଇ ଜାଗା ବିଷୟରେ
ମୋ ଜାଗା ତ ଭୁଲି ଗଲି
ହଁ ସେଟା ତ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ବହୁତ ବର୍ଷ ହବ ଆପଣ ଆସିକିରି ସେ ଜାଗା
but there are certain dimensions, especially when I came in the 70s, 80s and all this, the early 80s. So certain village of my childhood, village of my grandmother and all these things were very similar to the dimension of Kathak. It was Kathak which captured me. Kathak dimension is unique. I remember there was this film director from Italy, famous one. He came with his cinematographer. They went to Calcutta for presenting to the Calcutta Film Festival. That year Italy was hosting, and then they came here. And I was already in my house here in Bhubaneswar. So I said that you want to have an experience, take the bus and go to Kathak and roam around the entire day and come back in the evening and then tell me what is happening. So they went.
Oh, they went also.
They went. So they went. And they came back there, pura empty. They were totally exhausted. I said, Ileana, Kathak is this most beautiful city in the world.
Oh.
Yeah, and I said, yes, good. Then you have understood. Yeah, because artists can understand that. If anybody goes, they will see the gutters, they will see the air, they will see the smell, they will see the crowd, they will see the dirty, they will see. But whoever is sensible enough to understand what it is, the situation, the feeling of the town.
ଆପଣ ଏବେ ତ ଇଟଲି ବି ଯାଉଥିବେ ମଝିରେ ମଝିରେ
yes, I go like ଏବେ ତ 3 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଯାଇଥିଲି ଏବେ ତ ଆଉ କେହି ନାହାନ୍ତି ବାପା ନାହାନ୍ତି ମା ନାହାନ୍ତି only my youngest sister died in a plane accident, so only brother is there, rather than his family. My brother is a farmer. He is cultivating olive oil. So all of us, my sister was in Quito in Ecuador, and she had opened with her husband a tourist village over there. So I was in India and my brother is in Toscana to cultivate olive. So
ଆପଣ କେବେ ଆଉ ଏମିତି କେବେ ଏମିତି ଗୋଟେ ପଶ୍ଚାତାପ ଆସିନି ଯେ ମୁଁ ପୁରା ଛାଡ଼ିକି ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲି ଏଠି ରହିଲି ସେଠି ରହିଥିଲେ ହୁଏତ କ'ଣ କରିଥାନ୍ତି ସେମିତି କେବେ ବି ଭାବନା ସେମିତି କେବେ ବି ଆସିନି ୟୁ ଆର୍ ଏନ୍ଜୟ ଆପଣ ଏନ୍ଜୟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ
I never had regret. Very happy to be here.
କ'ଣ କହିବେ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ବିଷୟରେ ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ନୃତ୍ୟ ବିଷୟରେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ବିଷୟରେ last time I say just now I'm very happy to be here. So ଏଠି ଆପଣ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ସେମିତି ଅସୁବିଧା ତ ଛୋଟ ମୋଟ ହେଇଥିବ ଏମିତି ବଡ଼ ଅସୁବିଧା ବା ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଗଲ ସେମିତି କିଛି କରିବାକୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ
ନାଇଁ ବଡ଼ ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ଆଉ but one thing that ଏବେ ଯଦି ଆସିଥାନ୍ତି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ either I would have fell in love with India or not, I don't know, but India of 40 years ago, yes.
Marriage କରିବେନି ବୋଲି ସ୍ଥିର କଲେ
marriage that we never plan as such. It didn't happen.
ଆପଣ पूरे डांस रे बुडी गले.
Yeah, in India, yes, I didn't give space for any relation. It could have happened once or twice, but there was no space for that. I always follow Guruji, come back to Kathak, say Kathak re ki asibo sabu I would have met maybe somebody somewhere, but tapare mu sabu bele feri asibi eti na tale gola
eti kara khaiba rahiba everything apanakar sabu pasand
he that is not been a problem at all.
Kichi problem hai
no khaiba jinso kichi problem hela ni ja if somebody is cooking I'm eating. I'm very happy. No, now recently I start cooking in my life finally. Only very recently, but
भात खाती सबुदिन ईश्वर विश्वास करती. You believe God?
Yes, I believe in whoever has called decided that this is my life, so I would
if I ask जदि मैं आपको पचारिबे ओडिसी रो जे कोनोसी गोटे अभिनय हमर प्रायतः सबु गीत समर्पित जगन्नाथ को मैक्सिमम आपण सेमिति गोटे गीतार अभिनय कला बेले आपणक मनर भाव केमती थाए?
Yeah, I imagine Krishna, I imagine
जेमती
Jagannath.
कि हमर गोटे गीत अछि मल्लीमाला श्याम को देवी आपण मे भी करिथिबे निश्चित एते डांस कलेनी सेटा केमिति मनर भावटा सेतले केमिति हिथाए?
Yeah, but you see, you learn from a guru who has really, for so many years, maybe jodi mu 2-3 मास सिखी तांती एते नहीं, but I became part of whatever visualization is there in Guruji's mind, and whatever it is there around, all the puja, the sounds, the images, the fate of the people. So I became part of all of this. So I was imagining Krishna the way I see it, the way you see it, and so I became part of the entire feeling, the entire culture. So I think we imagine it in the same way. I mean, I don't do rituals apart from dance. For me, dance is a ritual. So through dance, I worship.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। शुणुले आपण मैंने कला साहित्य संस्कृति परंपरा केबे भाषार बंधन रे जगार बंधन रे बांधी रुहे नहीं, तार उदाहरण आपण मैंने बहुत सुंदर भाव देखिले आ शुणिले। पुणी आर थर को नमस्कार।